Testing, 1, 2, test, 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 test. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to put it on a different stand.
Tēnā koutou katoa, and welcome everybody. I'm Niamh Lawless, the Secretary General of New Zealand Red Cross. Welcome to Red Cross House. Beside me I have John Dyer, who's our head of our crisis management team. Thank you for joining us this morning. As you'll be aware, this is a really difficult day for Louisa's family and for the whole of the New Zealand Red Cross and wider Red Cross family. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read a statement, and then we'll be available for about 20 minutes for questions and answers within the confines of what we can talk about. Okay. It's with a heavy heart that I confirm that one of our international humanitarian delegates was kidnapped in Syria in 2013 and remains missing. Louisa Kavi was kidnapped along with 6 others in October 2013 while working with the International Committee of the Red Cross, delivering medical supplies that would help people affected by the conflict. 4 of the abductees were released the next day. However, Louisa's fate and that of the 2 Syrian colleagues remains unknown. Louisa is a valued member of the Red Cross whānau. She's an extremely capable and experienced nurse, dedicated, resilient and compassionate. She's worked with the Red Cross Red Crescent movement for more than 30 years, and this was her 17th field mission. Louise has dedicated her life to assisting those affected by war and violence, and she went to Syria because people needed her. She wanted to use her skills to make a difference for some of the world's most vulnerable people. We remain deeply concerned for her safety. We're supporting the International Committee of the Red Cross and the New Zealand Government in doing everything possible to locate Louisa and bring her home safely. Our priority right now is supporting Louisa's family. While they're used to her being overseas for her job, this, of course, has been an extremely stressful and worrying situation for them. We ask the media and the public to respect their privacy at this difficult time. We call on whoever is holding Louisa to release her immediately and unconditionally, and for anyone with information to come forward. Thank you.
How is Louisa's family holding up, and do they still hold out hope?
Yes, Louisa's family and all of us hold out hope that Louisa will be found and united safely with her family and friends. Her family are holding up as well as can be expected through this really tough situation.
What do you know about how Louisa's health is from the latest reports that you've had about her?
We don't have any information around that. As wherever Daniel's gone, as Daniel will have said, later on in the day we'll be able to get a question and answer session with Dominic, who's the Director of Operations in ICRC, so he'll be able to answer a little bit more detail around the operation.
Can you describe your dealings with the New Zealand government since Louisa was abducted in 2013?
Sure. The New Zealand government, ourselves, Louisa's family and the International Committee of the Red Cross have worked really well together since Louisa's abduction 5.5 years ago, and we have real trust and confidence in the work that the New Zealand government has done to be part of looking to locate and secure Louisa's freedom.
Has there been information sharing between Red Cross and New Zealand sources throughout those years?
There has been a level of information sharing that's appropriate. Clearly there's information that both the government and the ICRC operational information that can't always necessarily be shared fully with us.
For a long time, media didn't publish Louisa's name for fear that it would put her life at risk. Are you concerned that naming her now could put her life at risk?
Our number one priority all along has been Louisa's safety, and as you say, decisions have been taken always with that in mind, and one of those decisions was to keep the information as far out of the public eye as possible. The ICRC has taken a lead, and we've worked collectively together around when there is no right or wrong time. The assessment is made that with the fall of the caliphate, that the risk we really need to seek by calling for action, whether we can find out any more information at this point.
What's your message to the people who may still be holding Louisa and other hostages?
Our message is that Louisa is a humanitarian and she went there to make a difference. Our message is that, humanitarian workers should not and never be a target, and we absolutely call on them to release Louisa immediately back to her family.
Is it your understanding that her
Louise's family information, we really want to respect the privacy of the family, so what we can talk about is Louise's work, but it's not our place to talk on behalf of the family around any family circumstances.
Is the family comfortable with the name being published now?
The family are well briefed and part of the conversations. Clearly for them it's a difficult time, particularly today now that it's out in the public arena.
And does the family have complete faith in the government and the Red Cross and all of the actions that you've taken to keep it safe?
I can't speak on behalf of the family, but what I can say from all our interactions when we meet the family, and we meet the family collectively with the government and with ICRC, that they, from our understanding, they have real trust and confidence in the work that's been done.
Is the New Zealand Red Cross comfortable with the ICRC's decision to name Louisa now?
The ICRC, and John, maybe if you could talk a little bit to this. Thank you.
The ICRC has always had the operational lead on this, and they have significant experience in managing these sort of situations, and they felt that there's no information out there, and now is an appropriate time to try and seek information. So at the end of the day, everybody is working towards trying to secure her release as such, and we need to find information, so that's what this is about.
Is there any chance that naming her now could put her life at risk?
There's always a risk, and there's been a risk right the way through the situation. There's no such thing as zero risk as such, but a decision was taken to try and seek further information, and that's what this is about.
Do you think keeping quiet about it for the last 5.5 years has really achieved anything?
John, do you want to speak to the ICRC?
Generally speaking, the approach that's taken is that in order to enable discussions to go on behind the scenes, it is better to try and keep the situation quiet and not make it public as such. And there has been significant work done behind the scenes, and this has enabled some information to come out as such. So that's the approach that's taken in these cases. And as I said, ICRC has the operational lead. They have vast experience in this, and that's the approach that we've taken.
Are you confident she's still alive?
The information we have, and again Dominic can speak a little bit more, the information we have is that the last plausible sighting of Louisa was towards the end of last year.
And we know that we've heard reports that her health was failing back in 2015. Have you had any updates from any sources or anyone that how she's doing, whether her health is holding up?
We have no information around her health. What we do know from the ICRC information is that it looks like she has been able to continue providing medical care because that's her medical oath, and as a humanitarian working in a neutral way, that's what she would do. We have no information around her health.
Have MFAT provided any kind of projection to you naming her? Has the government seemed happy with the Red Cross decided to name her, or has there been?
I can't speak on behalf of MFAT. What I can say is it's been a coordinated approach around the decision for the information to be in the public domain.
Could you just describe for us what sort of contact Red Cross has had with the family over these last 5.5 years? How frequently you've been meeting with them, updating them, that sort of thing?
Sure. So I can speak personally from the last almost 2 and from what I know from before that. So as you know, Louisa has been missing for 5.5 years. Right from the very beginning, we had a specialist crisis management team here, as well as a team in Geneva. And all along, we've worked closely beside the family in terms of any support, information, conversations, and they've been part of decisions along the way. They're a really resilient family, so we very much respond to what they ask and need from us. And from our perspective, we have a very warm, supportive relationship with them.
At any stage, has there been daily updates for the family, anything like that?
Yes, there would have been at various stages when it looked very close to situations changing.
What was their response when they were informed that the ICRC was going to go public with Louisa's name?
Again, I can't speak on behalf of the family. What I can say is we had a meeting last week between the family, ourselves, the New Zealand Government and ICRC. So the family is very well briefed around the situation.
When you say that you understand that Louisa's been continuing to provide care, has she been providing care for members of the Islamic State? Is that your understanding?
Our understanding is Louise has been providing care where she is, so I can't comment on who might have been in those situations where she is. But Louisa is known and loved as part of our community, and we know that as a humanitarian that's what she would do. She's dedicated her whole life to providing need to the most vulnerable in a neutral and impartial way.
Does Limerick State ever request that ransom?
Again, I think that's a question Dominic can cover off more this afternoon.
Have you discussed that with the family?
John, did you want to comment on this?
The Red Cross movement has a standard policy, and this is made clear to people that deploy and to everybody else, that we do not pay ransom as such. So New Zealand Red Cross hasn't been party to any discussions with regarding ransom, and that's probably as much as we can say on that.
Have you conveyed that to the family though? Have you had to convey that to them?
Well, we have a standard policy, and the family was aware right from the start, as Louisa was when she moved. That at this stage, or not at this stage, we don't pay ransom, and that's a well-known policy across the whole Red Cross movement.
Has the family requested at any point that a ransom be paid?
Not to us.
Not that I'm aware of.
Any other questions, guys? Are there any other bargaining tools that you have apart from ransoms that could have been offered?
I think at the ICRC, as I said, has significant experience in these aspects, and a lot of it is the work that they do is aimed at humanitarian support to vulnerable people. So the key point is, obviously, that becomes a negotiation aspect in terms of getting access and providing that support. So that's the area that they would have used, I think, as such. But that again, in more detail, that's a question for ICRC.
Has there been any discussion about giving any ISIS fighters free passage in return for Louisa as part of those conversations?
We're not aware of any discussions around that.
As we've said, our focus, our number one priority has been around supporting Louisa's family here, and because Louisa was seconded to the International Committee of the Red Cross, that information or any parts of it that can be shared would be a question for Dominic at 5 today.
Can you speak a bit about her career and her decision to go to Syria?
Yes.
To help people that see their
Yes.
standard outlook?
Yes, Louisa, even though I haven't had the fortune to meet her, and hopefully I will. Louisa is one of our most experienced delegates, as I touched on in the press statement. This is her 17th mission across a 32-year career. She's worked in some of the most difficult places in the world: Iraq, Afghanistan, Chechnya, Bosnia, and she's absolutely passionate about making that difference and contributing her life to supporting vulnerable people.
Do you know, or have you heard, excuse me, have you heard anything about whether perhaps she converted to the Islamic State and may have done so for survival reasons or anything like that?
I mean, it's not useful to speculate. What we do know is we know her and love her and trust her, and we don't know what type of coping mechanisms she may have needed to use to hope to have survived 5.5 years. But we know that she's a humanitarian, and we know she would have continued to do her work in a neutral way wherever she was.
Just an all-round incredible woman, everything we know about her and the survival of the Chechen massacre.
Yes.
How's the Red Cross family being, the people that know her and have worked with her?
Yes. Clearly, it's a really distressing time for everybody. You know, our staff in the room, our delegates around the country, so many people know Louise well, and so Louisa and so many of them have been on mission for her. And we hope in all our hearts that the call for information may help bring some information forward that she can be found and brought home safely.
How many family members are you working with?
We work with a representative of Louisa's family, and again, in terms of their privacy, I won't go into that detail. But we've worked with the same representative group since Louisa was taken.
And is that just family members in New Zealand, but also in the Cook Islands?
The family representatives represent the whole extended whānau.
Could you tell us any more information about those leads that you've heard about, perhaps her whereabouts, or why you're still holding out hope? What is it that you're kind of looking to find her?
At the end of the day, as Neva said, the last sighting of her was December. As such, we've had no leads since then, but we have a strong indication that she was alive in December, So this is about following up and seeing if we can get further information to see where she might be at this stage.
You're certain
decided,
that
is that the PID?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're certain that that was her that was
The indications from the information we had, there was a high degree of probability that it was her.
And was that in a detention camp?
No.
Was this the person who looked at her cards and people and picked her out of the line?
The information that we had was that the people that were doing investigations, as such, the information we had was that they had a high degree of confidence that it was Louisa that was seen. In terms of the details as to how that went, I don't have the specifics of that.
Was it people who said they had been treated by her specifically?
It was information that we received as part of our operational briefings that indicated that she had been seen as such, and the people that relayed that information were confident that it was her.
Was the Red Cross ever offered or paid for independent advice for the family other than from the Red Cross?
Again, I want to protect the privacy of the family, but I can assure you we've offered and given any kind of support that the family has wanted and found useful. Yes.
It wouldn't square across any privacy for the family. It's a question for the Red Cross is whether any independent assistance or advice was offered.
I think I have covered it in terms of we've offered the family anything they would find useful, yes.
Would the call for information have been more useful when that sighting was confirmed in December? Why wait so long?
In December, and as you'd appreciate, in the last few months, the situation over there has been significantly, it's dynamic, it's fluid and uncertain as such. So those leads were followed up at that time, but realistically, it was generally felt that we wouldn't secure any further information at that time, and that's why it was better to continue with what was happening to find out more using people on the ground, operational people as such, and leave it at that.
Have there been many leads that sightings that were followed up but were disqualified that didn't stack up?
I think that's a level of operational detail that we can't really discuss at this stage.
You mentioned you did have information that she was still providing care, and that sighting in December, were they of the same thing? So was that sighting of her providing care?
It was a sighting of her that was in the area that she was thought that she might be, and that was pretty much as much information as we had.
What area was that?
That last area in the bottom area of Syria, the southwestern area, I think it was, around Bagoo's area.
Yes.
Yep.
Is there a risk then that she's been caught up in the airstrikes in that area?
We're not sure as such. The whole area is fluid, it's dynamic. As such, there's been a risk all the way along, and from our perspective, we just want to see if we can find her and get her back. So,
Do you know if her family has been in contact at all with any of the other families, hostages? There's a network of families and hostages in the States. Have you facilitated that in any way?
we haven't facilitated, and I'm not aware of any indications of that, no.
Sorry, was that question, I missed Henry's question, was that, but has any other family members been contacted about ransom demands? Is that what
No.
You can answer that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Come in, and I can certainly understand those concerns.
Yeah, they need rock solid protection, don't they?
Yeah.
All right. The Intelligence Committees appearing before